The earth trembles. A king raises his spear. History holds its breath. Alexander charges straight toward the greatest army the world has ever seen. 250,000 Persian soldiers stand ready. Alexander has 47,000. The odds are impossible. The stakes are absolute. One man refuses to believe he can lose. This is Gaugamela, the day an empire died. It is 331 BC. The Persian Empire has ruled the known world for over 2 centuries. From Egypt to India, Darius III commands the loyalty of dozens of nations. His treasury funds armies beyond counting. His roads stretch thousands of miles. No force on earth has ever broken Persia. Until now, none has dared try. Alexander of Macedon is 25 years old. He has never lost a battle. He inherited a kingdom at 20. Within 3 years, he marched east. At the Granicus River, he shattered a Persian force and bled for his victory. At Issus, he met Darius personally on the battlefield and drove him into flight. Darius escaped, but barely. He left behind his family, his treasury, and his pride. If you find this story gripping already, stay with us. Subscribe so you never miss history like this. After Issus, Alexander swept south. He took Syria, Phoenicia, and Egypt, one by one. Tyre resisted for 7 months. Alexander built a causeway across the sea to destroy it. Gaza fell next. Then Egypt opened its gates and called Alexander a liberator. At the Siwa oasis, Egyptian priests declared him the son of a god. He believed them. Now Alexander turns east, toward the heart of Persia, toward Darius himself. Darius has spent 2 years preparing for this moment. He will not be caught unprepared again. He selects a wide, flat plain near a village called Gaugamela in modern northern Iraq. He chooses the ground deliberately. His greatest advantage is numbers. He needs space to use them. Ancient sources place his army at 1 million men. Modern scholars are more cautious. Most historians estimate between 200,000 and 250,000 total troops. Whatever the true number, it dwarfs anything Alexander can field. Darius knows this. He orders the battlefield leveled, stones and brush cleared away, the ground smoothed flat. He plans to unleash his secret weapon, 200 scythed chariots with blades on the wheels. He also fields 15 war elephants, gifted from India. Horses fear elephants by instinct. Darius positions his best cavalry on the flanks, ready to envelop Alexander's smaller force. In the center stand the elite Persian infantry and the feared Greek mercenaries who fight for gold. Darius himself will command from a raised chariot at the very heart of the Persian line. He has prepared everything. He believes he cannot lose. He is terrifyingly close to being right. Meanwhile, Alexander approaches from the west. His army is lean, disciplined, and hungry for glory. His Macedonian infantry carries the sarissa, a pike nearly 18 feet long. Nothing stops a phalanx charge. His companion cavalry, the finest horsemen in the world, ride beside him on the right flank. On the left rides Parmenion, Alexander's most experienced general. He holds the defensive anchor. Alexander's army includes Thessalian cavalry, Greek allies, Thracian skirmishers, and Cretan archers. Each unit knows its role. Alexander has drilled them for years. They trust him completely. Alexander arrives near Gaugamela and surveys the ground from a hilltop at dusk. He sees the Persian campfires stretching to the horizon, a sea of flame, an ocean of men. His generals urge a night attack. Surprise could equalize the odds. Alexander refuses. He will not steal his victory in darkness, he says. He wants no excuse, no shadow over glory. Some historians think this was also tactical wisdom. Night attacks risk confusion and friendly fire. Alexander tells his men to rest. He goes to his tent and sleeps deeply, almost impossibly calm. His generals are awake all night, anxious. Alexander rises refreshed as the sun climbs the sky. Drop a comment below telling us what battle you want us to cover next. Now, back to the field. On the morning of October 1st, 331 BC, both armies form their lines in the pale, early light. The Persian formation stretches wider than any army Alexander has ever faced. Miles of men. Alexander looks at their line and understands immediately what Darius intends. Darius will extend his flanks outward, wrap around both sides, and crush Alexander from all directions. Alexander has one counter. He must create a gap in the Persian line and strike through it directly. But the gap must be real. It must be forced open under pressure. It cannot be assumed. Alexander begins moving his army to the right. Slowly, steadily, step by step. He angles his entire formation diagonally, drifting toward the edge of Darius's prepared ground. He knows Darius smoothed this plain for his chariots. If he moves off the prepared surface, the chariots lose their advantage. The Persian commanders notice and panic. Darius orders his left flank cavalry to follow Alexander's drift. Now the Persian left begins to stretch, to thin. The line pulls like cloth pulled too tight. Alexander watches. This is exactly what he wanted. He keeps moving. The Persians keep following. His infantry holds the center steady, grinding forward, holding the Persian foot soldiers in place. Parmenion on the left struggles. The Persian right cavalry hits him hard. He sends word he needs help. Alexander receives the message. He does not go to help, not yet. Not until the moment is right. The Persian scythed chariots charge, blades spinning, horses screaming, the ground shaking beneath them. Alexander's men open their ranks. The chariots race through harmless gaps between the soldiers. Javelin throwers and agile skirmishers pull drivers from their chariots before they can turn around. The great secret weapon of Darius fails within minutes. The battle is already shifting. On the Persian left, the cavalry has now stretched so far pursuing Alexander that a gap opens. A real gap, a fatal gap. Space between the cavalry and the infantry at the center. Alexander sees it. This is the moment he has waited for. The entire battle pivots now. He turns, he raises his spear. He looks directly at Darius across the battlefield. He forms his companion cavalry into a wedge formation. A spearhead of elite horsemen, unstoppable. Around him ride his closest friends, Hephaestion, Ptolemy, Clitus the Black, men who will die for him. If you are feeling the tension building right now, hit subscribe. History is about to break open. Alexander drives his wedge straight into the gap, straight toward Darius. No hesitation, no retreat. The Persian infantry on either side cannot close the gap in time. Alexander is moving too fast. He crashes through the second line of Persian infantry. He fights personally. He always fights personally. He takes wounds. He loses men. He does not stop. He never stops. The companion cavalry fans out behind him, widening the breach, preventing the Persians from closing. Darius watches the wedge slicing toward him through the smoke and dust and dying men. For a moment, ancient sources tell us, Darius holds his ground. He fights with his own javelin. His royal bodyguards throw themselves in front of Alexander's advance, dying by the hundreds. The men closest to Darius begin to break. Not because they are cowards, but because death is arriving. Darius makes the decision that will define his legacy. He turns his chariot. He flees. When the great king runs, the center of the Persian army collapses around him like a wave. Word spreads outward with terrible speed. The king has fled. The king has fled. The king has fled. Units that were fighting effectively suddenly lose all purpose. What are they defending? For whom? On the Persian right, the cavalry had actually broken through Parmenion's line on the Macedonian left. Some Persian and Indian horsemen even reached the Macedonian baggage camp and began looting it. But they cannot exploit the breakthrough. Their king is already gone. The battle has already been decided. Alexander wants to pursue Darius personally and end the war in a single moment. But Parmenion sends a second urgent message. The left flank is crumbling. He needs reinforcement now. Alexander faces the hardest decision of the battle: chase Darius or save his army's flank. He chooses Parmenion. He wheels away from the pursuit and crashes into the exposed Persian cavalry. The fighting here is brutal, some of the most intense of the entire battle. Men and horses die in masses. But the Persian cavalry, hearing that their king has run, have no heart left for the fight. They break, they scatter. The Macedonian left stabilizes. The battle is no longer in doubt. Alexander resumes his pursuit of Darius. He rides hard through the gathering dark. He finds the royal chariot abandoned, the crown left behind, Darius gone on horseback into the night. Ancient sources say Alexander rode until his horses could not continue. Darius had too great a head start. Gaugamela was over. The cost was staggering for both sides, though casualties remain debated by scholars. Most estimates suggest Alexander lost perhaps 1,000 men. The Persians lost tens of thousands. If this moment in history leaves you breathless, share this with someone who loves great stories. 3 days after the battle, Alexander enters Babylon. The ancient city opens its gates without resistance. The priests of Babylon welcome him. The population lines the streets. The treasury surrenders peacefully. Then Susa falls. Then Persepolis, the symbolic heart of the Persian Empire, is captured. Alexander burns the great palace of Persepolis in a famous and controversial act of retribution. Some say it was revenge for the Persian burning of Athens in 480 BC. Others call it drunken impulse. Whatever the reason, the flames that consumed Persepolis announced that the Achaemenid Empire was finished. Darius III fled east, hoping to rally forces in the eastern provinces and fight again. He never got the chance. One of his own satraps, a man named Bessus, betrayed and murdered him. When Alexander found Darius's body on a dusty road, he reportedly wept and covered him with his own cloak. He gave Darius a royal burial. The king he had destroyed in battle, he honored in death. There is something deeply human in that gesture. Two great rulers, one world, only room for one. What Alexander built at Gaugamela was more than a military victory. It was the death of an ancient order. The Achaemenid Persian Empire had ruled for over 2 centuries since Cyrus the Great founded it. It had survived wars, rebellions, and invasions from every direction. Nothing had broken it. Until now. One battle, one morning, one 25-year-old king with a spear and an impossible dream. The question scholars have debated for centuries is this: how did Alexander actually win at Gaugamela? The numbers alone should have doomed him. 250,000 against 47,000. The answer lies in several factors working together with extraordinary precision. First, Alexander's oblique advance to the right was deliberate. He baited the Persian left into overextension. Second, he neutralized the scythe chariots by training his men to open ranks and let them through. Third, he identified the gap in real time during a chaotic battle and exploited it within seconds. Fourth, he led the decisive charge personally, inspiring his men to follow him into certain danger. Fifth, He made the brutal sacrifice of abandoning the pursuit of Darius to save Parmenion's flank. Each decision required not just genius, but courage, control, and clarity under unimaginable pressure. Darius, for his part, was not a fool. He had prepared the ground, selected the position, and assembled a massive force. His mistake was tactical rigidity. When Alexander moved right, the Persian response was too mechanical. And when the gap opened, there was no Persian commander with the authority or vision to close it in time. Darius had centralized command too tightly around himself. When he fled, the army lost its mind. Command structures, ancient scholars understood, are not just about giving orders. They are about holding nerve. Alexander's army had been trained to fight without him if necessary. The Persians had not. Gaugamela reshaped the ancient world in ways that are still visible in history, culture, and language. Alexander went on to conquer Persia's eastern provinces, Afghanistan, and eventually northwestern India. He spread Greek language, architecture, and ideas across thousands of miles of conquered territory. The Hellenistic age that followed his conquests mixed Greek and Persian and Egyptian culture together. That fusion shaped Rome, which shaped Europe, which shaped the modern world as scholars understand it today. All of that history traces back, in part, to a single morning on a flat plain in 331 BC, to a gap that opened in a Persian line, to a king who charged without hesitation toward the impossible. Alexander died in Babylon in 323 BC, just 8 years after Gaugamela, at only 32 years old. He never lost a battle. He never stopped pushing forward. He ran out of time, not ambition. Military academies have studied Gaugamela for centuries. Hannibal studied it. Caesar studied it. Napoleon studied it. The oblique advance, the hammer and anvil, the decisive strike at the weakest point, these lessons endure. Not because war is glorious, but because Gaugamela shows what human decision-making looks like under maximum pressure. It shows what vision, preparation, and personal courage can achieve against seemingly insurmountable odds. It shows how one man, in one moment, can redirect the entire flow of civilizational history. 47,000 soldiers faced 250,000 on an open plain. And the smaller force won. Not through luck, not through miracle, through intelligence, discipline, and one electrifying charge into the gap. If this story moved you, share it and help us bring more of history's greatest moments to life. On that October morning in 331 BC, the sun rose on the Persian Empire. By evening, it was already setting. A young king from a small Macedonian kingdom had done what no one before him had thought possible. He had looked at the greatest power in the ancient world and seen not an obstacle, but an opportunity. He had studied his enemy, prepared his soldiers, chosen his moment, and struck with absolute conviction. And in doing so, he changed not just one battle, but the entire story of the world that came after. That is why Gaugamela still echoes. That is why Alexander still fascinates. That is why history endures. Because in every generation, human beings want to know what is possible. At Gaugamela, Alexander showed them. Subscribe and join us next time as we uncover more of the battles that shape the world we live in.